I read something about Tracy Morgan. Now, Tracy Morgan is one of my favorite people on the planet. And because this is why I love Tracy Morgan. He's authentically him. A lot of people will change their personalities depending on what room they're in. So like if I'm in a room with Barack Obama, and most people, if you're in a room with Barack Obama, you're going to act differently than if you're in a room with Flava Flav. Or if you're in a room with Warren Buffett, you probably will act differently than if you're in a room with just your homeboys from high school. Not Tracy. Tracy's the same no matter what room you're in. And I've seen it time and time again. I've been in rooms with him. I've been in pitches with him. I've been on set with him. I've been at nightclubs with him. He's the same every time. He don't care who you are. He don't care how much money you got, how much power you got. He don't care how broke you are and how little power you got. Tracy Morgan's going to be the same. And the biggest regret I've had in my career, not the biggest regret in my career, but one of the biggest regrets I ever had was when he got in the wreck in Delaware, 2014. And they didn't know if he was going to make it. I remember like the week after the wreck when they said I think he was still in the coma, but it looked like, it was starting to turn his way. I presented the BET Awards. It was me and Mike Tyson was presenting. And I'll never forget it. We was doing one of the rap awards and Drake got it. We knew Drake wasn't there, so we were accepting it for him. The one thing I forgot to do was shout out Tracy Morgan. And nobody did that night. And I really think all of us missed the mark on that BET Awards of not shouting Tracy out. And it didn't hit me. One, I was going to do it. And then Mike Tyson kind of went off script of what was on the teleprompter. And it kind of threw me because I had to ad lib with Mike now. So me and him are having a nice little back and forth at the BET Awards. But through all that, my whole plan was to take the award. Hey, Drake's not here. We set this on this behalf. And I was going to say, hey, Tracy Morgan, we're thinking about you, baby. Get better. The world needs you. Something like that. And it just through Mike going off script and me keeping up with them and going back and forth, I just slipped my mind. And then nobody mentioned it, that whole BET Awards. And I was like, I wish somebody would have said something that day. And looking back on it, I was like, dang, we really missed the mark on that one because Tracy is such a big part of the culture, so to speak. So I read this an article, and I'll tell you why it struck home with me so much. Because I was with him when he got this part. So this is a true story about 30 Rock and how Tracy got the part and how they made it Tracy Morgan. And in the show, he was Tracy Jordan, I believe, right? Tracy Morgan crashed through NBC's expectation the first week of 30 Rock when he ignored the polished script, threw it on the floor, and delivered an improvised rant so wild and perfect that Tina Fey grabbed the table and whispered, "That's the entire show." Everything about Tracy Morgan broke the rules. Network comedy was supposed to be restrained, safe, sanded down. Morgan arrived like a controlled detonation. He showed up to the first table read with a pocket full of loose candy, a handwritten notebook labeled Tracy Jordan Brain, and a promise to Faye, if you let me be me, I'll give you something nobody else can. He proved it instantly. During early rehearsals, directors tried to guide him toward cleaner jokes. Morgan didn't budge. In one session, he stopped mid-scene, pointed at a prop sandwich, and launched into a full monologue about why Tracy Jordan only trusts sandwiches made by left-handed wizards with gentle energy. None of it was in the script. Every writer dropped their pen. Fade told the crew keep the cameras rolling whenever he opens his mouth. The show's most iconic chaos often came from Morgan's instincts. The werewolf bar mitzvah bit came from him casually singing nonsense between takes. The I am a Jedi rant was pure improv. Even his wardrobe fights became legend. One day, costume designer suggested a subtle outfit. Morgan reached into a rack, pulled out a neon tracksuit and gold chains and said, Tracy Jordan doesn't do subtle. Subtle's for people with savings accounts. Behind the scenes, he carried real pain. Years of grinding stand-up gigs, his father dying young, his own struggles with addiction, he hid none of it. On quiet nights during season 3, he sat with Faye and told her stories that shaped him. the hardship, the hunger, the survival. She later said those conversations built half of Tracy Jordan's emotional backbone. And when the NBC execs panicked about whether Morgan's unpredictability was too risky, Faye shut it down with one line: "You don't contain Tracy, you steer him." By the finale, Tracy Jordan was a cultural earthquake, and the network executives who doubted him were begging for more scenes. Tracy Morgan didn't just elevate 30 Rock, he detonated it into something only he could make unforgettable. And I'll tell you why when I read that, I wanted to talk about Tracy on my podcast, because when he got 30 Rock, we were shooting Little Man. This is 2006. 2005, 2006. We were shooting Little Man in Vancouver. I had a TV deal with Fox, and writers were emailing me. And then while I was shooting Little Man, I was also putting together a TV show that never went anywhere. I walked away from this pilot, and I'll tell you why. But as they were sending me the scripts and the rough drafts and everything, I was hanging out with Tracy all the time, because we were at this place called the Sutton Hotel, and there are these little apartments in Vancouver. And if I was in 1405, Tracy was in 1505. He was literally one room above me, the exact same, one floor above me, the exact same room. And so he would always call me to come watch Monday Night Football, hang out, whatever. And so, that was I think when you shoot movies, certain people you hang with during the shoot. I remember Little Man. I was hanging out with not Little Man, but Held Up. I hung out with Jamie Foxx the whole time. We like the same things. Well, a lot of the same things. He does like some white girls. I like black girls, but he likes all girls, but I was pretty much black. Anyways, that's who I hung out with. With Little Man, it was Tracy. Think Like a Man, we all kind of hung out together. Even like Welcome to Sudden Death. I was hanging out with Michael Jai White most of my off time. Just you click with some people on set, and that's who you hang out with. Dottie and Soul, it was David Koechner. That was my guy. We'd just go out to eat afterwards and hang out. So with Little Man, it was me and Tracy hanging out most of the time in Vancouver. And I remember I'd always be showing them, like, hey, here's the show I'm trying to put together. I was a garbage truck driver in Indianapolis, and it was an interracial show, and blah blah blah. It didn't go anywhere, but I kept saying, I'd run stuff by Tracy, and Tracy would play out the whole scene in his hotel room. Like, hey man, what if we're on the back of the truck? And Tracy would literally get out of his chair and act like he was on the back of a garbage truck, and he'd be looking at me. Yo, Gary. What you think of Miss Johnson? She got a fat ass, right? Saying shit like that. Like, I love driving by her house. She comes out in a little nightgown. I like it. Shit like that. He just making shit up. And I was like, yo, if the show gets picked up, man, I'm going to bring you in. He goes, yeah, done. We're good. I'll come in, Gary. I love you. So why I'm putting this show together, and I had to, before I even started shooting Little Man, I had already met with Fox. We had to put a TV deal together. Met with writers, we pitched the show. It was like, I had already been through like 10 steps trying to get the show together. And Tracy's got, SNL's over. He's got Little Man. Right when we're wrapping up Little Man, this is like January, February of 2006, Tracy says, yo, Tina Fey just called me. She's got some show on NBC. She's going to bring me in. I go, oh, that'd be awesome. That show was Little Rock. That show was 30 Rock. I just remember him telling me, yo, Tina Fey just called me. She got a show. I'm going to come in. I was like, oh, it'd be awesome. He's like, I don't really know what it's about, but I'm going to go in. Tina's my girl. So I just remember I was shooting this thing called Stand Up for Family. And it was me, Tony Rock. Was Bill Bellamy? I think Bill Bellamy. Dean Edwards. We all sat in the green room. This is probably 10, 12 years ago, something like, God, Little Man was 19. That's crazy. We were in the green room, and somehow we got on Tracy Morgan. It was 45 minutes later. Everyone was still sharing Tracy Morgan stories because they just get wilder and wilder. And I'm not going to share the wild stories. That's something I like to keep between me in my industry cohorts. But a few stories I can share that is Tracy Morgan in a nutshell. One night we all went out in Vancouver. All the Wayans went out with us that night. There was like 2 or 3 nights where the whole cast got together and we got it in. We was partying. I'm talking everybody. Keenan, Sean, Marlon, all of us was partying. And we ended up back at Tracy's place that night. Not Keenan, but I know Damian Wayans was there. I know Craig Wayans was there. I know Sean was there for a second. I don't know if Marlon was there, but their assist, I don't want to call their assistants, their buddies that was helping them on set was there. So it was about, and then there were some girls in there. I don't know where the girls came from. There was always random girls, because who doesn't want to, when you're shooting a movie, what girls don't want to go party with the movie stars, right? But it wasn't nothing wild like that. So we're all just sitting there talking. It's probably 2, 3 in the morning. And Tracy just starts snapping on me. And I've heard he does this with people. And I never had it happen to me, though. So to me, it was almost like a rite of passage. Like, oh, Tracy's going in. So he goes, Gary Owen. Fuck you, Gary Owen. Always talk about black women. My mother's black. Keep in mind, this is out of left field. We're all just kind of hanging out, talking about football, the set, life, you know? It's good vibes. And then Tracy's just on his couch. Fuck you, Gary Owen. Always talking about black. My mother's black. He goes, I'll call Lauren Michaels 7 years on SNL. You'll never be on TV. I'll call Lauren Michaels 7 years, Gary. 7 years on SNL. And he's snapping on me, right? Boom, 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 boom. Craig Wayans kind of got up and was getting in between us. Now, keep in mind, I was never going to do shit. I was just taking it all in. So Craig kind of moved his chair, like moved over just in case he thought. Later, he told me he thought I was going to get up and steal on Tracy. He wasn't worried about Tracy getting up. He thought Gary going to get up and fucking cold cock Tracy. And I was like, no, I was never going to do that, man. I'm chill. So Tracy just snapping on me about everything, right? And then, ding, door rings, room service. I'm not over exaggerating. 4 or 5 pizzas come in. The pizzas weren't that big. They were thin crust. And a gang of wings come in. And now everybody just eating. Tracy still entertaining, but still coming back and snapping on me. In the middle of snapping on me, Tracy goes, yeah, fuck you, Gary Owen. You want a slice? I was like, no, I'm good. In the middle of going in on me, he offers me a slice of pizza. What? Fuck you, Gary Owen. You'll never be on TV. Hey, you want a slice? All right. With the eating, right? So I think we had to work the next day, but we had a late call time. That's why we were out late. So this is like Saturday. So Sunday, we weren't coming until like 3 or 4 o'clock. So everybody got to sleep it off and it was good. I got to set before Tracy. I just remember Tracy walks into the makeup trailer, kisses me on my forehead. He goes, we partied like rock stars last night. We partied like rock stars. He goes, yo, G, you my youth, kid. You my youth. I went in on you and you took it. Yo, I love you for that. I love you for that. I was like, what? I thought he would have forgot. I thought he was so drunk or messed up. He didn't remember what he did. No. In Tracy's own mind, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was saying. And he wanted to see my reaction. And I guess the way I reacted made him like me even more. Oh, yo, the kiss on the forehead killed. Yo, he was like, he didn't just come in. He came walking around the makeup trailer. Oh, you my youth, kid. You my youth. I went in on you and you took it. He goes, I love you for that. I love you for that. I was like, what? And that's when Craig told me the whole story. Craig was like, yo, I thought you was about to go and just jump up and knock him out. I go, no. He goes, that's why I moved over a little bit to get him. I said, no, man, I'm cool. He goes, I'm just playing safe because he was going in. I said, yeah, Craig, but I've heard that about him. I've heard he will snap on people and he doesn't really mean it. It's almost like he's doing some Denzel Training Day shit with eating a hawk. Let me see what I can get away with. and see what I can't. You know, and I've heard stories about Tracy, but that's just one story. I could share 101. Okay, I'll share one more since we're here. Not long after we shot Little Man, probably a year later, Tracy came to Cincinnati at the Funny Bone. And I just remember when we were in Vancouver, everybody knew Tracy Morgan used to always take his shirt off. Every time he would go out, he'd take his shirt off. So we in Cincinnati, I'd take him out. We go to some night. It's like a Thursday night. We go to some lounge nightclub type shit, right? Tracy takes his shirt off. He's got this big chain on. And I said, Tracy, why you always take your shirt off? He goes, yo, money comes and goes. But if I take off my shirt, that's my move. It doesn't matter if I got money or not. That's my move. People know it's Tracy Morgan. So I take my shirt off. That's my move. I was like, okay. So we're in this nightclub. They got this little dance floor. I think it was called Nada in Cincinnati. And at that time, there was a bunch of Bengals there. It was Thursday night. You know, there's girls there. It was a spot to be for, you know, the 35 and under crowd in Cincinnati that were doing something. And I remember at one point, Tracy was standing there and he started moving down he acted like he was on first base. He was taking a lead off. I looked at him and then he slides back in like somebody threw the ball to first base to pick him off. And he slid back in, he held his hand up and I went, safe. Now I'm acting like the umpire. And he gets up, acts like he wiped himself off. Long story short, 5 minutes later, there's a full-on fake baseball game going on in the nightclub. I mean, one of the guys there was a catcher, there was a pitcher, there was first, second, and third base, there was a shortstop. Tracy acted like he was running around the bases in the club. People acted like he was throwing them out. Somebody was at the bat. I was the umpire. It was like, how did this happen? And only Tracy could pull that off. I was like, he just got a fake baseball game going in the middle of a lounge nightclub where Tracy's running this small circle around the bases, sliding on the floor, shirt off. I was like, it was the wildest and one of the funnest nights I've ever had.